Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to Coops Fitness. If you're new to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button right away. Give me a follow on Instagram at Train with Coops Fitness. And so let's get started with today's video. So I want to talk about two of the biggest lifts, two of the most essential lifts in bodybuilding slash powerlifting or just general weight training or beginner strength training, whatever branch you want to expand in. Now the two most popular, I would say most popular, but more importantly, I would also say most important, right? Especially for lower body, right? We talk a lot about upper body lifts. Everybody emphasizes shoulders, how much you can bench. And obviously, these lower body lifts are very popular too and very important too, and we all know that. But today I'm going to emphasize mainly on those two. So we're talking about the squat and deadlift, right? So the squat and the deadlift are two of the most important lifts that you will probably ever do, right? They contribute to upper body expansion, total body strength. They help put slabs of muscle onto your physique. They're excellent for strength and hypertrophy in your lower body, in your quadriceps, your gluteals, your calves. They work your hamstrings, right? Blend of a little bit of both. And honestly, if I'm being totally real, that's all you really need for your foundation of your lower body routine, right? Squat and deadlifts pretty much make up the base. And then you have your other overall isolation exercises. And so there's a couple of key things that we have to address when always programming these exercises into your leg routines. And it's really important that you hit these key things that I'm going to talk about in this video. Otherwise, you're not going to end up doing them correctly, or you're going to end up doing them wrong, or you're not going to get the best out of it or the most out of it. So I'm going to write here, we're going to start off, and it's going to be deadlift and squat. So deadlift, squat, right? So things about the deadlift and the squat. So number one is you have to do both. A lot of people have a really hard time incorporating both into their routine. And it is understandable because you have to kind of play around with the variables a little bit, and because it really makes things a little bit complicated because you don't want to do both too much on leg day. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to max out on your intensity, on how much you can grind on both lifts. Because think about it, that's actually the first point here I want to address, is that if you do too much squat and too much deadlift all on the same workout, then you're just wasting time. Because you're not maxing out on what you could be doing on both of them. You're not training optimally, especially if you prefer to go higher volume. Like me, I do prefer to go higher volume. And I talked about that in the last video a little bit. You can revisit that if you missed that video where I talked about volume. But in today's video, because I already covered that, we're just strictly focused on the lifts. So, especially for those reasons, you really have to be careful how you are programming this, because if you do too many sets of both in the same workout with the barbell, with the most heavy weight you can, then you're not going to get the benefits whatsoever, right? So first things first, always, number one, you have to do both, right? If you want the most out of it, those are your two most essential lifts that you will ever do, at least in lower body, which is just as important as your upper body for aesthetics development and your overall strength development over the years. So, must do both. All right? First thing, Okay? Now, second thing, right? You do have to do both, but you must realize that program correctly. Now, when I say program correctly, it's really, really important that you're not doing like 20 sets of hard working sets. So you might do like a lot of sets for a particular exercise, and it's completely fine if it's warm-up sets, because I know that sometimes when you combine your warm-up sets and your working sets, sometimes, especially if you go high volume, sometimes it does add up to 10 to 15 sets. And a lot of people, they freak out and they go, whoa, 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 whoa. And say, Cooper, what the fuck, man? You don't know what you're doing. No, shut up. Okay, look. When you're training, like, there's nothing wrong with doing that as long as you know how to combine it. Now, let me tell you, when you combine, if you were to track every single set you do, including your warm-up sets with your working sets, it's going to be a lot of sets, okay? Even if you're only doing 3 to 5 or 3 to 4 working sets, you add in all your warm-up sets on top of that, that's going to be a lot of sets you're doing, and it looks like high volume. So, it's all good. You don't freak out, right? So it's really important to make sure that as long as you're not doing like a whole lot, like when you're tracking, you got all your warm-up sets you need, plus your 3 to 5 working sets, and you're progressing in weight each week very gradually. That's all you need, and that's the most important thing. Now, next thing is going to be making sure that you're making the most out of both lifts in terms of different factors like what equipment you're using for them. So when you do the squat, it's either barbell or dumbbell. Okay, and obviously there's other variations too, right? You don't obviously have to do only those, like there's kettlebells and there's, sissy squats, and, you got your machines, which are not even the best, but of course, they're still an option, especially if you prefer to do them at the end of your workout. Yeah, sure, jump on the hack squat. But do not, under any circumstances, go to the hack squat and think that that's your squat. Do not treat the hack squat, or worse yet, the leg press. Do not treat any of those types of exercises the same way as you would the squat. The squat is the squat. If you want to squat, you need to squat. And I mean squat. You need the real deal. And people go, oh, it's the same movement. What's the wrong? Well, no, technically not. It's the same movement. Here's why. When people are building these machines, so when people are building you do realize that they do not mimic real human nature, human body mechanics. They don't mimic the real movements. And it's hard to see that because people think, oh, well, of course they do. Well, no, they don't, because they're artificially man-made. Okay? They're artificially man-made. So it looks like they do, and they almost do. Some of them, 99% are the same as the real movement, but they're always off a little bit, right? Think about it. A chest press machine, right, is not going to be precisely the same as the actual bench press. If you want to bench, you need to get on the bench. You're not going to develop that with a chest press machine. If you want to learn to squat better, then you need to get on the squat, even if it's just body weight, even if it's just doing this. If you want to get better at squats, you actually have to squat, even if it's not the back squat. Don't be jumping on the hack squat machine or the leg press and think that's the same thing, or worse yet, the leg extension. A lot of people make the mistake of treating them like it's the same exercise, but they're not. They think they're the same movement patterns. They think that they're doing the exact same thing and accomplishing the same thing simply just because they're working the same muscles. And that's not how it works. Just because you're working the same muscles, it doesn't mean you're accomplishing the same thing. These supporting exercises and these machines are meant to assist you with the real movement. And that is the big key thing, the next big thing to understand. So what am I getting at here when I say barbell or dumbbell? Well, I'm getting at the fact that you must be using free weights. Free weights are the way to go. That's what you should be using. Ideally, for 95% of your workout, okay, that's kind of pushing it. Maybe like 70 to 85% of your workout-ish, give or take, right? I'm kind of a whatever guy. I don't like to do math, so I kind of just throw numbers out there, okay? If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But yeah, no, I don't like to do math, so I kind of just throw numbers out there, right? And that's just the way it is, right? So, but the point is that the free weights are the way to go. Free weights are the way to go, okay? So, free weights. Barbell or dumbbell? Dumbbell. Goblet squats, right? Overhead, right? Clean and jerks, right? Right? Holding a kettlebell or a dumbbell, same thing, just a different design, right? Boom. Just body weight. You need a modification? Drop the weight. No problem. As long as you're practicing the real functional skill, the real movement. Don't jump on the hack squat. Don't jump on the machine, right? Actually practice the real deal. Practice engaging your core. Practice, making sure your low back and your spine and your shoulders are in the correct position, and your core. Practice your shoulder width, foot width, right? Practice the details. You're never going to nail those if you're on the machines all the time. You're never going to nail those things if all you're doing is jumping on the machines. Because let's be real, the only time you're going to be forced to do it right is really if you actually practice the real deal and stay away from the machines. Because when you're doing the real deal, you're forced to make sure you're doing it right. So it's really important, right? So anything free weights, right? Barbell, dumbbell. But here's where it gets really interesting, right? Okay, so if you are going to do barbell squat, then what you should be doing with the deadlift is you should be doing a different variation of the deadlift, which is not the barbell deadlift. Why? Because when you're doing too much barbell work, like I said before, you're going to be incorporating a little too much volume into your workouts, right? You're going to be incorporating a little too much volume because when you're training with the barbell, especially for everything, the barbell work, your main compound lift, that is meant to cover like your first or maybe second exercise. But generally speaking, your first exercise should be covered with the barbell because that's your main lift of the workout, and that's it, right? Dial in your squats or dial in your deadlift, your conventional barbell deadlift or your barbell hack squat or your barbell back squat, okay? Either deadlift or squat for the barbell. To prevent the mistake of loading too much, when you load too much and do both lifts, what happens is you don't optimally perform both lifts enough, right? Because you're focusing on both with too much weight altogether on both lifts. It's a lot smarter to do one or the other and then do a different variation of your second exercise. So for example, if you're squatting, you're doing the barbell squat, your next exercise can be RDLs with 2 dumbbells where you're only going halfway and you're not doing the full deadlift, right? That could be the perfect example. Because then you're incorporating both movements, right? You're incorporating both movements, which is the key. Doing both. Doing both doesn't necessarily mean doing both the same way. So you're doing both, you're incorporating both the movements, right? Both movements, both exercises, but at the same time though, you're not doing it in a way where you're cranking up the volume to overtrain. And then the reverse is true with the deadlift. If you're starting off your workout with conventional barbell deadlift, if you deadlift, then you would be starting off with that, right? Hit your workout with your start off deadlift with the bar, and then your second exercise, instead of being the barbell back squat, it would be like a hack squat, or it would be a goblet squat, or it would be a body weight squat. Now notice how I said hack squat, and I only said that because it's your second exercise, right? Machines are meant to support you near the end of your workout or sometimes in the middle of your workout. These are the scenarios, or the situations where you can include them. But they should just never be your focus. They should never be at the start of your workout, right? Hope that makes sense, guys. It's what I wanted to cover in today's video. If you like today's video, make sure you don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Coops Fitness. Follow me on Instagram at Train with Coops Fitness, as well as my other platforms. Thanks, guys. See you next time.